every person you've ever met is secretly trying to fulfill one of 6 needs. And once you know what they are, you can influence anyone.
Wow.
Yeah. Welcome to Modern Alchemy.
This is my co-host, Joe Jennings, and I'm Christina Nichols. Every episode, we open up with a fun question, and I was really excited about this one. This is still another Reddit suggestion.
Reddit is the jam.
It's the best.
You know, I had to delete Reddit from my phone.
Oh.
Probably like 5 years ago. I would doom scroll on Reddit for like 2 hours instead of sleeping. Now I just do it on
funny.
TikTok, so that's even worse.
I only go on Reddit when I'm looking for something or I have a notification.
It's the best place, in my opinion, to find actual answers, especially if you have like a very specific question.
Yeah, I would agree.
Like you get anecdotal evidence, then you can look in the comments and be like, +1, I agree, this, I have this, yes, yes, yes.
Like this question I'm about to ask you. Okay, if you had a third ear, where would you put it?
The first thing I thought of was on my forehead, but I wouldn't want it to be
In the
seen.
middle?
Yeah, that was literally what popped in my head. But I don't want a visible third ear. I guess behind you, like maybe hidden, like where you can cover it with like I could grow my hair out and have it on my neck, or like have a collar block it. But yeah, behind you.
But then don't you think it'd be itchy all day with the collar?
You'd be used to it. Unless it was like, I have to get a third ear now. It's like, get a third ear or you die. Then I would put it behind me though, like where it could be hidden. But not where I would like lean on it. So it'd have to be like on your neck or like on the back of your skull, and you just grow your hair out long and have it like cover it. Where'd you put it?
Okay, I was thinking I typically only part my hair this way or in the middle. So I was thinking behind this ear, but facing the other direction. So they'd be like butt to butt on my ears. My ears would be butt to butt.
So, but it would be pointing backwards.
It'd be pointing backwards, so I can hear what's going on behind me.
Yeah.
Plus, I think I'm losing my hearing from all the concerts I used to go to and the loud music that I may still listen to in my car. And I thought that might help with surround sound, if you will.
And you could hide it in your hair.
Yeah. Also, now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder if things would be scarier, though, because you're so used to hearing things coming at you from the front of you, and you know what it sounds like when something's behind you, that if you had a new ear that's pointing backwards, maybe everything would sound like it's in front of you and it's not. Would that be scary?
I think it would be weird because before I got a business degree, I went to school for music, for recording arts. And there's a rule in sound design where you never put sounds in the back because it gets people to because it is kind of like that natural, like what's happening back there. So you definitely have to get used to it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Let us know your thoughts.
Let us pray.
I was actually, on Sunday I was leaving brunch at Soho, and I said a weird question to my friends as we were walking out, and these two women stopped in their tracks and they gave their opinion. Would you rather have teeth as eyeballs or eyeballs as teeth?
You asked them this?
I asked my friends this as we were walking out of the
heard you.
place, and these two women stopped, one had a roller bag. That's a ridiculous question, she said. I go, I know. And then she proceeded to talk to me about her answer.
What was her answer?
I don't even remember. Because there were so many of us talking about it at that point, but I thought it was really funny. I'm like, just hitting these streets with the questions.
Are there more eyeball teeth people or teeth eyeball people?
Oh, I think everyone agreed that you should have teeth eyeballs.
Yeah, and then you funnel them to me for my new company, the eyeball retainer.
I told them.
You did? The retainer?
I said, I do a podcast, and my co-host, he has already come up with the ingenious eyeball retainer. And they were like, we're going to need that.
There's so many good business ideas. I do still think the haircut one, the Tibetan singing bowl haircut, I literally think that could be wildly profitable.
Happy to go to Tibet and explore this opportunity with you.
I think
I'd love to hang out with some monks.
You could probably charge $100 for that, and someone will pay for it. It's like a spa service.
I think it would probably have to be a lot more than that. A regular haircut is $100.
But you don't have to pay monks. Oh yeah, ladies' haircuts are so expensive.
Joe, when I get my hair done, it's like $500, and that's not including the tip.
Does that include color?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think And I don't think you'd actually put the singing bowl on their head. I think what you would do is just create this unbelievably zen experience where while you're getting your hair done, it's also just like so relaxing and comfortable and
Like a sound bath.
a sound bath. It's just like this beautiful experience where you're also just so happen to be getting your hair cut. People would do that over if it was the same price. Okay.
Can you imagine though? They'd be like so zen that their heads would be flapping around, and then all of a sudden their haircut comes out at an angle.
So then that's my next invention is the sleep while you're getting your hair cut. So the chair has this thing that flips up and it holds your head in place. So you can just
Like a geisha.
like a geisha.
When geisha would sleep because they had their fancy hairdo, they had this neck support. So they'd lay down and it would cradle the base of their neck, kind of like these microphones.
So like right here, back
Yeah,
of the
lower.
head, low back of the head and neck,
Where the
so that
hair
their
isn't.
hair wouldn't get messed up. That's smart.
I think it was kind of like this.
That's insane. Yeah. Well, speaking of insane, like not really. But so today I want to talk about these 6 human needs. And I'm not referencing the Maslow's hierarchy of human needs. So there's this guy, Chase Hughes. He's a behavioral, like social psychology expert. And he was in the military for 20 years. And so he's got these, I don't know if he came up with this, but he's been talking about it on a lot of podcasts. And I just read his book, which is really interesting. It's called Behavioral Ops Manual. Every person has essentially one of these 6 human needs. And each need is then balanced by a specific fear. And so if you know what someone's needs are based on these 6 needs that I'm going to go over here in a second, you can essentially influence them by playing into those needs. And by influence, I mean get them to like you. If people like you, it's very easy to influence them. That's the number one behavior in order to create rapport and quick relationships. If you're in sales or really just trying to get to know people in general, once you're aware of these things, and I've only been aware of this now for a few weeks, and just hearing people talk, what kind of topics they bring up, where situationally, where they seem to desire certain types of interactions or comfort or reassurance or significance. And it really gives you a lens into how someone views reality and what they need to feel whole.
That reminds me, wasn't there a book? I think actually there is a book and it's very famous and I think it's been in publication for a really long time and it's still a very popular book. It's how to something and influence people.
How to win friends and influence
Win
people.
friends and influence people. Yeah, it kind of sounds like it comes from something similar to this. It really does make a difference when you know people though. You can build relationships better when you understand them.
I agree completely. That book, by the way, also it's by Dale Carnegie Jr. Highly recommend to anyone who wants to influence people or just
Yes, for sales, right?
It's very helpful for sales, business in general, and then if you just want to be someone who is a good social person. One thing I took from that book, people love hearing their name,
Yeah.
but because it's one of those things, because I've worked in sales for a long time and then I worked in management and leadership, I know when someone says my name, they're doing a thing.
I agree.
And so it actually makes me not like it. But I do think to the untrained person, an occasional drop of their name, like Christina, what do you think about that? I'll do it in a situation like that where I'm like directly engaging someone, but I won't be like, okay, now Christina, so you said that you wanted a red car, but the maroon car is actually in your price range, Christina. And you're like, stop saying my name, bro. Like I don't know. It feels disingenuous to me.
All of it, I am very aware when people are saying my name, especially when they're not used to saying my name. Or if they keep saying it, and in my head, it's disingenuous. Like, why are you saying my name? The people I'm talking to, I usually don't say their names unless there's a group of them. They're not paying attention. There's like a reason I'm saying the name. I agree with you.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where these trends fall in and out, especially when people become more aware of them. I do still think there is some validity in that one particular thing. That not really playing into what we're talking about here, but I do remember when I learned that, I overdid the crap out of it. But I thought it worked.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it too is, which is really kind of funny how all these hacks work are. Let's say even they don't work, but you think it works, it makes you more confident.
Yeah, 100%.
And that works.
Yeah.
Just being confident is the ultimate thing. So a lot of these things too, just for the viewer and the listeners, these are things that are actually real psychological things that do help. But even if it doesn't help as much as you think it does, it actually just being more confident in a social interaction is going to win you more approval and favor.
1000%. And also, sidebar to the point of saying the name too much. When people say ma'am too much, I'm like, gonna jump. When I'm on a call and I'm frustrated and someone keeps saying ma'am, 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 I'm gonna go through the phone. I'm gonna strangle this person.
Like a customer service rep?
Yes.
And you're like, can you not do that?
Like this, I don't know why it irritates me to no end.
Interesting. I think it is the disingenuous formality. Anything that's a disingenuous formality, it's not authentic. And non-authentic things come off as kind of gross.
Yeah.
There's actually a client I've been dealing with, and I like this person a lot, but they are so concerned with how they're perceived that all of their behavior, I have to remind myself that I like them because I find myself being turned off by them a lot because all of their behavior is so premeditated because they're so worried about the perception of everyone else.
Oh my gosh,
that it
it's
makes
exhausting.
them super unlikable. But it's at like a gut level where I'm like, ugh, but I really like this person a lot. But it's the disingenuous, that's huge. But then it's like, okay, well, what's this person's need? So I've actually not thought about it with that person. But yeah, disingenuous behavior is gnarly. So let's go over the 6 needs. I'm going to look at my phone here. It's on my thigh. So if you got the need for importance, and so the fear there is being dismissed, being mocked, being insignificant. That's also the need for significance. There's the need for approval. So fear of rejection. That's a huge one, right? I think fear of rejection and need for approval is probably one of our core drivers because back in the day when we were this social tribe, if you were rejected from the group, you literally died.
Yeah.
You could only exist in a tribe of some sort because of all the roles and arms that were required to get food and shelter and
So much
procreate.
work.
So that's a huge one for people, need for approval. Then we've got the need for acceptance, which actually fits more into that fitting into the group dynamic where the recognition or the approval, which is the fear of rejection, I think that actually comes more from the individual of like, I personally am being approved for what I'm doing, who I am, whereas rejection is a direct threat to their identity. And so, yeah, I think the approval one is actually more along the lines of the individual. The acceptance is the individual's cohesion to the group in its entirety. Then we move into number 4. That's the need to be seen as intelligent. And so fear there is people thinking that you're dumb. 5 is a real juicy one. The need to be pitied.
Oh.
And this is something that I didn't know was an actual human need. But now that I'm aware of it, it is a very nefarious and odd need, in my opinion. I actually now pity the people who need pity, not because they need pity, but because that's kind of sad to have a need for pity.
I mean, these are all kind of sad. So keep going. I want to know the rest of them before I give my opinion.
That's a good call out. And then the last one is the need to be perceived as powerful. So power. That one's pretty simple. It's the...
But these are all really sad because it just says that there is such an insecurity in your life because you've been trying to protect yourself, or this is the only way you've been shown love in the past, or you have or haven't been shown love in the past because of one of these, and it's just you trying to protect yourself. How would you categorize me?
I don't know. I think there's always the exception to the rule or an outlier. I do believe what this essentially veils, which if anyone has social anxiety or wants to be able to influence social situations or create good rapport with people, is to understand that because these are, like you said, probably come from some childhood wound, we're all like big messed up kids. Every single person is basically a baby that something happened, then that became the thing that they needed to feel significant or love or whatever. And then that gets taken into adulthood, and that's how they shape their life.
Yeah.
Because that fills their cup.
Yeah. So to the pity one, I understand. To me, it sounds like you might have someone in your life that needs this, and that's probably why it's a stronger feeling or reaction that you're having, Amy.
True.
But when I hear about the pity, I think oh, so this person probably didn't have anyone that cared about them until something really sad happened to them. And that is actually it is very sad that the only way that you got any attention or love or felt like someone was caring for you was when something bad was happening to you. And so children are smart, but they're also children. So they're smart and they know how they can manipulate you, or they think they can manipulate you, but they don't always do a good job because, again, they're children. So I could see where that person might play into that even more, because it's the only way that they know how to get love. And the other thing too is when I see this a lot with energy healing and clients, and speaking to childhood trauma to adult trauma. So you have this thing where you feel like you don't get any love from anyone unless something sad is happening to you, right? So you're constantly putting that out there. What you don't realize is you've made this your whole personality, because you're probably just trying to look for parental love. You're probably looking for someone to fill this role as a mother or a father figure in your life, to just love you the way that you want to be loved, and you don't even know that you're doing it. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And I was going to use an example as, so I have this person that I know, and they have arrested development. I don't know what that clinically is called, but it's an adult human who has, they like stopped developing when they were like 12 or 13. So they're functional, but they're very
Yeah.
infantile in a sense.
Kind of like how some autistic people, it's like they age out, essentially. They hit a certain ceiling.
100%. So that's probably what it is, whatever that's called. But I can tell when they're trying to get my attention because it's not done in a way that's very sophisticated. It's like a little kid
My elbow hurts.
trying different tactics.
My elbow hurts. And I mentioned my elbow hurts, and you're like, why does your elbow hurt?
Yeah, like if I don't respond to this person,
Yeah.
or there's a group text and they're in it or something, and no one replies, then they'll say something. They'll try to turn up the dial, like maybe the more shocking of something that I say will elicit a reaction. And I'm like, their only intent is to get the attention, and they don't care what method they use. Whereas I think a normal adult, might just be like, okay, cool, that one didn't hit. Let me just move on with my life. Or they might have a conversation where they don't have to be shocking to get attention.
Yeah.
But it really is, yeah. You learn these mechanisms that your brain is literally geared toward getting the dopamine hit you want, and love is a big one as a kid, or attention as a kid. And so you're going to try all these different methods, and whatever hits, you don't know you're trying them, but when something's pinging your brain going, this works, you double, triple, quadruple down.
Yeah. I also wonder, how fulfilled is that person? So let's say we have like our pity, we're going to call her Pity Paula. And Pity Paula, she is constantly looking for pity, and she's getting these little dopamine hits. But I wonder if you sat Paula down and you said, Miss Paula, Miss Pity Paula, do you feel as though you are filled to the brim with the love and the affection and all the things that you need? She probably would say no, because while she's getting the attention and this dopamine hit, it's probably not filling her cup whatsoever. It's just giving her a little hit. And without the self-reflection to say, okay, is it me? What behaviors am I expressing? How do the people show up in my life? Do I like the way that they show up for me? No, what can I change? People don't want to look internally or hold a mirror up to themselves to see where they're struggling, where they're not showing up properly. So they continue these behaviors over and over and over. And the law of diminishing returns starts happening, right? So the dopamine hits that you were once getting as a child aren't hitting the same, and you're going hard, you're going in all these different directions, you're just searching for this love and acceptance. And I am going to tell you right now, it is about you. It's about how you love you. And no one wants to hear that. And I'm happy to be the bearer of bad news, but this all comes down to us. You can't use the people in your life as a reason or a crutch. My parents didn't love me enough. Now I have to have a Pity Paula party every day. No, it's about you. Like, yes, they contributed to that, but how are you showing up for you now? What are you doing for you to improve your life so that you can move out of this space and have actual joyful relationships? What are you doing to allow love to actually come into your life?
It's definitely one of those ones where I think, and that's why I think that's the most nefarious one. And I actually don't like pity. I actually am very turned off by being pitied. And so when people give me pity, it makes me not like them. And maybe that's because I've seen that with people I'm close to, and it's such a turn off to me.
Yeah.
But I don't like pity. Like, I actually,
What if someone Oh, I was going to say, what if someone genuinely cares? But it wouldn't be pity. You would know. You could probably feel the difference between pity and someone like, oh, I actually care in this moment about whatever the thing
Yeah,
is.
pity feels petty. Pity feels like, I think it's an ego thing too. I'm like, I don't want your pity. Like, I'll take, yeah, empathy is great, but I don't look for it. But then when it's genuine, it hits, and you're like, I appreciate this person, or
You're right.
compassion.
You're right. I'm thinking about people pitying me too. And there's certain things I don't always want to say because people I feel like are going to pity me, even though I don't need pity.
Right.
For example, if something came up and I said, oh, yeah, I'm a cancer survivor. Oh, and then, if there's a little pity party, I'm like, I don't need the pity. I'm very strong. It actually changed my whole life. I think it's really positive. I'm not upset about it. But they want to pity me. I know it's like an ugly blanket.
Dude, so, and that, wow, yeah, that, so how have you dealt with that? Because an ugly
I remind people that
blankets.
I don't need the pity. Like in the past, when the cancer thing that just happened to me a lot, I would say, no, actually, I'm super healthy now. It changed my whole life. I learned all these things about the ingredients and the food and my life and my lifestyle, and I completely changed. And now I'm an energy healer and blah, blah, blah. I have all the positives. So I just remind them that while they're offering me the pity for whatever reason, that like politely, I don't, no, thank you.
So I never offer pity. I'll offer a polite, I'm so sorry that happened. If someone's like, my dog died, my grandma died. But in a situation like that, my first instinct is to go, dude, that's amazing. Congratulations. Like,
Yeah.
why do you think people offer pity as the go-to for situations like that?
People offer the things that they like.
Okay. So that's not everyone's response, but that is a large chunk of people's response. Or how is there like a, off the top of your head, like, is that the common response, or is that just some people?
I would say it's just some people. Again, it depends. What kind of people are going to offer the type of love to you that they want.
It's the thing that's top of mind for them. Yeah.
So if I'm someone that I love physical touch and so I might offer you a hug because that would make me feel good.
Oh.
But you might be like, I don't like when people touch me.
Yeah.
So there's been plenty of times I've gone to hug people and they've been like, don't touch me. Well, not that aggressive, but they've, kind of their body language has showed like, oh, I don't want physical touch. And I have to remember, oh, that's how I like being loved. It doesn't mean that's how you like being loved. So the pity thing is the same thing.
That physical touch boundary with like a hug is so weird to me because it's such a non-invasive and warm, like nice greeting.
Well, unless you don't like being touched by people.
What's up with that though?
That is also some childhood stuff, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's a dark one because it always makes me feel like, oh, this person's messed up. I have a friend of a friend, and I met their partner, and I'm a hugger when I meet someone for this time. Like, oh, great to meet you.
Right.
And they were like really rigid, and in my mind, I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I'm not trying to murder you, but it I don't know. It is what it is.
I mean, could be a number of things. Like sometimes I want to consider maybe there was sexual trauma in the past, and like
That
you don't
sucks.
comfortable with people
Yeah.
touching you. But the other thing is you're just physically closed off. Maybe you're not feeling safe in your body. Maybe you don't trust people. I don't know. But since COVID now, I always say, can I give you a hug to new people?
That's nice. Yeah.
It makes people disarmed because sometimes they're like, no. I'm like, okay, I don't care.
Interesting. People say no.
I've had a couple people be like, no.
They're just not a hugger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also think it's like what your baseline level of comfort was. Like if you've ever dated someone whose family wasn't very loving, like my family's very verbally loving. So I do tons of words of affirmation. Hugs were normal, but I've definitely dated people that didn't have the ability to emote. They emoted their love in other ways. That's why there's the love languages.
I know we went on a bit of a tangent back to pity, but
Yeah, let's
all
lock.
of it, I think, it's all true. I'm still curious what you think mine would be. You don't think I have one? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. You're an anomaly. I feel you've done so much work on yourself and put in the time to essentially level yourself up that like, you're not need to feel important. I don't think you care about approval.
My mom said when I was a young child, I was very bossy. And I would gather all the children in the neighborhood and like tell them, like, you guys are going to play school. And they'd be like, I got to go. I was like corralling people all the time, managing them.
Really? Do you feel like you have a need for power?
No, now I do not. I do not want power, but I'm just trying to think of pre all the healing work. Maybe it was a power thing.
Really?
My mom just said I was like loud and bossy. I think I just had a big personality and she didn't know what to do with me.
Yeah.
Also, I'm very type B, but I can be type A when I need to. I'm a type B plus.
Yeah, you're good at you balance the line really well. Do you think it could be acceptance to fit in the group?
No, I don't give a shit what people think about me.
Yeah, I honestly don't. And you're really smart, but I don't think you're cared about being that perception. I definitely don't think you want to be
No, because
pitied.
people have always thought I'm really dumb. And that is so sweet.
You're really intelligent though. I think we both have more we both have more casual vernacular, and that can be perceived a certain way. I remember one of my first management jobs, my boss was constantly saying, "Stop saying dude. It makes you sound so stupid." I'd be on a client call, like, "Hey, what's up, dude?" And then I attempted to get rid of it, and I just realized that it part of my personality. And one thing that's been really helpful for me in business is I'm super approachable because I'm so casual.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work. There are people who really want you to be like
Oh, sure.
up in airs, and those aren't my people. And I can turn that on if I really need to.
Yeah.
But especially when I was a leader of like, large groups of people, it made me super approachable, and I don't know. But yeah, I've definitely been a victim to that because I know I'm really smart, but then I have more of a like my last big boy job where I was at like a big quote unquote executive position. My boss thought I was like a bro when he met me. He's
You
like
do give off, bro.
bro vibes. Yeah. I don't know, where does that come from? Because I'm not really a bro. Like I lift weights and I say dude, but I'm actually like a sensitive artist.
It's how you present to the world.
I wonder where I built that, like where that came from.
I don't know. I wonder if that is just an association with gym guys.
Could be. And I always played sports growing up.
Yeah. What now, if you're comfortable sharing, what do you think yours is?
Oh, wow. Yeah, mine is definitely need to feel important. But the fear of rejection thing's huge for me. But I don't think I care about approval. I 100% like feeling important. Like I like being significant. I like status. Yeah. I don't know what yours is. Yeah.
I win.
You've done so much
Just
work.
kidding. No, I think that just means that I've done so much work that it's just a barometer for how much work I did. Because I wasn't always as chill and easy and loving and accepting as I am now.
One thing I want to go over too is how people can spot these.
Oh, yeah.
So let's go to importance. So importance, people are going to name drop. They're going to brag subtly, which I've done before. I used to tell people about all the employees I had, but like link it to like a story, a lesson I was telling. Talk about big plans. They take offense to being overlooked or interrupted. I don't really. Oh no.
A bunch of my friends feel that way. Sorry.
I hate feeling overlooked for sure because I'm like, I deserve that.
Interrupted. That's the one I do.
Oh, interrupted?
I interrupt people because my ADD, I can't, if they're telling a long story and they're talking for a long time, I can't listen. I have to interject. Otherwise, I'm going to lose my attention. So that's me trying to keep my attention. And it gets two of my girlfriends very upset all the time.
Yeah, I have certain people because I ask questions as the story's going on.
Yes.
And they're like, can I please just finish my story? But I actually recently was on a date and this girl kept interrupting me. And I was like infuriated. I just kind of was like, all right, I guess this girl's going to do most of the talking. I'm more of a talker. I do better with someone who's more of a listener. Mm-hmm. And I immediately was like, there's no way I could date this person. But then I had to at one point go, let me finish what I'm saying. It wasn't like a interjection that was adding to the story. She was like, you're done talking. I'm going to talk now.
Oh, she wanted to be the chief.
She wanted to be the talker and me be the listener, which for my personal dating dynamic doesn't work. But I interrupt people all the time. And so it was a good reminder, like let people talk, especially if you're trying to influence or gain approval.
Yeah.
So people that want to feel important or feel significant, they want to be the one who's talking. Definitely didn't have that purpose.
This is so interesting. I really love this.
So how to win, how to influence those folks, validate their compliment, validate their compliment, ask for opinion.
Wait, you still didn't say it right.
A compliments. You want to ask for their opinion or input. What do you think about? Can I get your opinion on something? Can I run something by you?
Just good for dialogue. Ask questions.
Amazing way to get your boss to like you.
Yes.
Like, come up with a solution for a problem, but then, boss, I have this problem. I think I have a good solution, but I really wanted to run it by you. Me? Of course. Of course. Dude,
People love to give their opinions.
I love that. When
People love it.
like, if my employees did that, I would be like, I love you so much. Like, you make me feel. But people don't know that this is what's happening. It just, so when you know these people's subconscious needs, and doesn't have to be nefarious. This is, you're doing yourself and this person a service because it makes them feel good.
Yes. Back to the love languages, because it just sounds very parallel in the how you show and receive love. It's the same thing. You also want to feel good. And if someone figured you out, you'd be like, I feel seen. That's all people want. People just want to feel seen and understood and heard. That's literally one of the basic needs that no one talks about. We need air, we need water, and we want to be seen. We want people to just get us. So yeah, it's not nefarious. It's like you're making people feel good.
Making people feel good is the easiest way. There are those people that you meet and you're like, I really like that dude. And you don't know why, but it's because I think most people aren't consciously doing it, but certain people know how to like tap on whatever your need is, and you like them as a result of that. I think some people are just likable people, but if you can just be a likable person and then you know how to look for what people need and then feed it to them, oh my God, it's like game over. Okay, so now we've got how to spot people who need approval. They people please, mirror you heavily, and they avoid disagreeing. They pause before answering to gauge your reaction. And so the approval people are the people pleasers, right? And so you ever dated someone that adopted your personality or adopted your hobbies?
No.
So and it's kind of I see it a lot more with women than men, especially when women are younger. But there are some men that do it. I just don't think those types of men you're attracted to.
No.
Because it's kind of it's not a masculine trait. But not to say that this doesn't happen, because there are guy groups where a guy will come in and then adopt the identity of the group, right? And I think that's common social behavior. However, I've dated people where, like my ex, for example, when we dated, she was into weightlifting and I'm like into bougie stuff. So she became all bougie. And I liked it because that's the stuff that I like. But now, I don't know, the guy she's dating now, she like is into kayaking now. And like shooting guns. So that's like his personality. And so she has now adopted that personality. And that's that need for approval though, right?
Yeah, that's also exhausting because there's a lack, again, of authenticity. Like, what do you actually like?
People pleasing is very nefarious because I think I'm a recovering and sometimes err on people pleasing side, which I actually really hate. And it's not a nice quality. It's actually a very insecure, manipulative quality. And I know that about myself because I think I used to call it, I wouldn't call it manipulation, but I know that I can be very manipulative, but it's very subtle because it's in the aim of being liked or something. I think that's also a salesman trait.
I might argue to say that you think it's subtle. Well, maybe with some people. That's the number one thing for me.
You notice stuff more than other people do, though.
Of course. But I'm saying the people pleasing, when people are people pleasers to me, that's the thing that pity irks you. People pleasing irks me. That's the one that I makes my skin crawl.
What is it about that is that's your number one, whereas the pity thing is mine? And how do you notice it?
So fake.
How do you notice it?
Hi, Christina. Oh my God, you look so pretty. Like, what?
How do you know if that's disingenuous or not?
I can feel it.
You can just feel it.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe this is all with a grain of salt that I can tell them more. But again, I'm a little psychic, not a little psychic. I am psychic. I know things. I don't know. I can't read people's mind. I'm not telepathic or anything. But as soon as you come over to me or any person that comes within my sphere, I feel their energy. I know exactly the emotions that they're holding and the tone that they're taking. And I can tell whether it's genuine or not. And I can tell kind of I just know where they're coming from. I can't explain it really well. I just get this little bubble of emotion so I can read them immediately.
That's interesting. I also know, I think you're exceptionally intuitive as a human in general, but I know women in general are also more intuitive. And guys out there, if you're listening, That's why exhibiting some of these behaviors where you're trying to people please
Oh
or
my God.
get women to like you instead of bringing people into your reality and like not caring if they like you. It's like you want people to like you, but you don't want it to be your motivation because that it's like that when women get the ick and they don't know why.
That no, women know that. They can feel it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you try too hard and you're just like, it always feels whiny to me. I don't know why, people pleasing. The fakeness comes off into me when I hear it and it enters my body as almost like a whine.
Is that the pick me thing or is that different? Or it's similar personality type?
I think it can be very similar.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're doing this thing for someone else right now. You have no respect for yourself, which also makes me sad then. I'm like, I am not asking anything from you other than to be you and to be happy. And if you don't want to do those two things, you don't have to. You can tell me to go shut up. But when you're trying too hard, it's like, it's icky.
Yeah. It is very strange because I definitely am a recovering people pleaser. And I like when people are.
I think actually that might be my thing, but with specific areas, because my family, I was always looking for approval from my mom, and I do a lot of people pleasing, or I did do a lot of people pleasing with her for most of my life.
Yeah. Circling back to the guy thing too, it's don't try too hard, but don't try not enough. It's all goes back to this like organic level of confidence. But if you're in an interaction with someone, let's say even if it's a girl that you're trying to pick up as a dude, if you can in a short period of time assess some of these things and then feed into that, getting someone to like you on a subconscious level is actually the best way to get them to like you. And so yeah, that's another one. And because of the people pleasing thing, I do agree that's also very nefarious. I'd say pity still though my least liked, and then the people pleasing probably the second one. So in conversation, they'll be like, is that okay? I hope that makes sense. They soften their views to match the room. Or the people who will go, they're like, oh, I hate peanut butter. And you're like, I love peanut butter. And they're like, well, peanut butter's pretty good. And you're like, you can have that opinion. I'll still like you, bro.
Yes.
Like, I'm actually more curious why you don't like it than for you to agree with me.
Yeah, I'd love to have a dialogue about it now.
Yeah. Like, oh, that's interesting. Someone who has a different viewpoint. What's up? Not like, oh, no, do you like me? Hang on. No, I love peanut butter.
And then that person gets upset later that things didn't work out for them and they ruminate on it. That to me also, it's like you're expending so much energy when you could just be yourself.
I used to have this thing I called social perfectionism, which I struggle with sometimes, but not as much as I used to. But I would, if I wasn't 100% perfect, especially with people whose opinions I cared about, that would drive me nuts. But not, dude, on Easter, so I've become really, I think doing the podcast and putting myself out there a ton on the internet has made me just feel comfortable not giving a shit. And really, a lot of it too was because I'm so not ego driven, but because my need for significance and status is so high. And then when I left corporate America and started rebuilding, I had to relearn to validate myself, not from status or significance that I was getting in the same way. So I'm not as worried about that shit anymore because I've just kind of had to do a little bit of an ego death. Anyway, fast forward. So we're at Easter and I'm telling a story and it's going awesome. People are laughing. I've got the table captivated. And this old lady walks by and compliments my girlfriend's nails and interrupts my story. And after she does it out loud, I go, that's a great compliment. Totally interrupted my amazing story, though. And everyone starts dying laughing. And even the lady was like, kind of like, but that's something I would have never done before because I would have been worried about how other people would perceive it. But because it was so genuine, people were like, literally like, that's hilarious that you just called that out.
Yeah, because it's shocking.
It was kind of shocking, which I find very funny to say crazy shit like that. I don't think the old lady heard me though.
Oh, there you go.
Because she was old. All right, so 3, we got the...
Wait, I have one question. So I often say, does that make sense? I do that actually a lot in energy healings because when I'm channeling information, I feel like sometimes it doesn't make sense to people. What was the point that was made about saying that?
It's not really a need for clarification. It's more of a need for approval for what they're saying. So saying, okay. I hope that makes sense is for you to go, no, yeah, that makes sense. You're doing a good job. Keep going. I accept you.
I understand.
It's not like, hey, I'm saying something and I want to make sure that we're on the same page. It's verbally maybe similar, but the syntax or the whatever, the intent is much different.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm asking because part of me is thinking, oh, should I not be using that term sometimes in a healing? I don't want it to come off the wrong way, but you're right.
Also, when you're doing a healing, you're channeling something that's actually coming from the other person. And so it doesn't make sense because you actually have no frame of reference sometimes. So
Yeah.
you're going, hey, I want to make sure that that resonates with you.
Yeah, because it doesn't need to make sense with me. It needs to make sense with you.
Exactly. So it's completely different. It's more like a resonation check than it
Yeah.
is
Okay.
Yeah. Resonance. Resonance. So we got the need for acceptance. So they're trying to fit in with group norms, over explaining things. Like when someone's late and they give you like a hole, you're like, dude, it's fine. Like, you're good. I do that a lot actually because I'm like, oh, I feel bad.
They keep going, and you're
You
like,
project on what other people are potentially thinking because you don't want them to not accept you. They make jokes at their own expense or self-deprecation. I don't necessarily agree with that unless you were actually using it as a bait to get someone to reaffirm.
oh, people do that a lot.
Self-deprecation. I do think self-deprecation though is this evil, actual like. It's like what do they say? Sarcasm is the cousin of anger or some shit. I don't know what it is, but I think self-deprecation is. That's a weird one. In conversation, they'll say stuff like, "I know this sounds weird, but I'm probably the only one who thinks this." So they're just pinging for approval.
I definitely say, I know this sounds weird, but it's because I'm going to say something really weird. I always follow it up with an equally weird, if not more weird thing.
By the way, on the last one, how to win with approval people, you give them genuine validation. Like, hey, you're doing a good job. Like, you're good. And phrases like that makes total sense. I like how you said that. So they say something, you're like, wow, that's a really good point. Boom, approved. Next one, acceptance. You make them feel safe being themselves. So you just make people feel comfortable, right? I think you and I are really good at that. And then you can share something vulnerable. And then they'll be like, oh, this is a safe space. So the acceptance people really need safety. All right, let's move on. Perception of intelligence. They're going to use really big words, which I actually find really annoying. So that's probably my third disliked one because I'm really smart. Like, if anyone's watching, and I just said like 50 times, I'm not working on that. Count how many likes I said. I know I'm intelligent, but I don't think it's necessary to use big words. If I can talk about something and get a point across more simply, that's smart. People who can't synthesize things and need to use big words to appear smart. I got this YouTube comment the other day, and this guy used so many big words. It just makes people look so insecure. Like, I'm smart,
unless
I'm
you
smart,
are
I'm smart.
a superior level of intelligence, and that's just how you speak. There's a difference there. But for most people, when they start just throwing in a big word here and there, you're like, wait, what? Did you just learn this word and you're using it today? Like Clueless. We're going to learn a new word every day and use it in a sentence.
I just think it depends on what you're doing, to your point. I know academics it propagates aggressively in academia. So if your social circle is like that,
Yes.
then that becomes the norm.
Yes.
But
that is a big dick swinging competition on who's the smartest.
And that's why the big
Ego.
words come into play.
Yes.
I actually have a buddy who used a word trainer to learn like 1,000 big fancy words. He is really, really smart. So they need to be perceived as intelligent. So people are afraid of being dumb or ignorant. So they're going to use big words, a lot of technical language, a lot of facts, especially when they're not needed. They're going to get defensive when corrected or misunderstood. I hate being misunderstood, but it doesn't make me defensive.
Oh, some people, yeah.
But it is weird when you're trying to talk to someone who is unintelligent and they're not understanding you. That is a very odd scenario. And so they're going to over clarify. They're going to do that actually thing because they're going to use it as let me insert that I know actually what's going on here. And then they're going to debate small points. So you're going to compliment their insight. Wow, I hadn't thought of it that way. That's really smart. Ask them to teach you something. Hey, you seem to be really good at XYZ. Can you teach me something about that? I'm really curious. And so I think that's a really easy one to tap into and also to spot.
Totally.
Yeah. Then the last one. No, not the last one. So now we got the need to be pitied, which we kind of beat up pretty hard in the beginning. Those are the people who are going to emphasize personal hardships. Their stories are being mistreated, misunderstood. These are the victims. The world is out to get me. Everyone's out to get me. I'm a survivor. And if you're like that, I think it's I want to come from a place of empathy with people like that, but I do think that's one of the ones that you need to get as far away from as quickly as possible. People pleasing is probably really close there too, but to be a victim or a survivor as your persona is going to make it really difficult to be super successful. I don't know many successful people who have any sort of victim mindset.
They probably don't want to be successful, Joe. So not everybody wants to be successful.
Oh, I'm like, that's so, I was like, what? That's so foreign to me.
We need people to do every job. Think of all the jobs that there are from the bottom to the top. We need people to want to do all of them.
I don't think anyone watching this is going to not want to be successful, though.
You don't know that.
That's true.
And that some people are just happy in what their lives are. Maybe they have a little bit of success, they're doing well, and that affords them time to be with their families or to do their hobbies. Maybe they just love making pottery and they don't want to grow in their corporate career, but they want to have time so they can make pottery every single day because it makes them so happy.
That's fair. And I guess my barometer for what makes someone valuable is their desire for success, but that's not necessarily true. But anyone that I'm using as a milestone for like what I look at that is attractive is success. And I don't know any people like that who hold the victim mentalities. There are people that are successful that blame other people for things. I think that's just common, but they don't do it. That's like a less of a victim thing and more of a lack of personal responsibility. I see a lot of successful people like that.
I would disagree. I think that's a victim also.
Okay.
You're a victim of circumstance.
That's fair.
Well, okay.
Or like it's someone else's fault. I think that's more a power thing though, because then they're never wrong.
You're deflecting.
Yeah.
But you're still a victim. The woman, one of the founders of Pinterest, she ended up leaving and then selling ice cream in Costa Rica years later because success was too much for her. So I think that scale that you're talking about, this is relevant in all areas of life. But if we even take the success component out of it, I wouldn't even say success. I'd say that people who have genuine happiness in their life probably aren't sitting in victimhood.
Yes. It could be success, personal success. It could be happiness. Anyone who lives a life of positivity and joy, success, abundance, whatever, love, they're not in this survivor victim mentality. And I don't think it's someone's fault that they slipped into that, but I do think it's someone's responsibility to, once they become aware of it, go, how do I get out of this mindset or mitigate it so that I can like be happy? Going through your life with that, the world's out to get me. I'm a victim. Feel sorry for me. Ugh, yuck.
Yeah, I don't know that it's their responsibility, but I would encourage people who are feeling like they're victims to know that it can be so much better on the other side. Forgiveness, once you allow forgiveness in your life, everything opens up. And you can be a whole different person and you can have this really happy, fulfilling life. And you have to carry this baggage around of, I'm a victim, this thing happened to me, blah, 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 blah. You can release it into the ether and never think about it again and just be so happy.
I've had this thought recently, actually. It's interesting you brought that up, that you don't actually need to forgive to move on. Because forgiveness is such a giant burden, but if you just don't care, like you don't have to forgive. You just literally go, all right, well, that's over.
I would agree to a certain regard. When you can get to the place of forgiveness, it's a lot better because if you haven't resolved the issue, you might be just putting it over here for now, but you don't know that it's not going to rear up later.
Yeah, I don't know.
Forgiveness is very hard.
Yeah.
And I just want to be very clear. I'm not saying that you can do this overnight. Forgiveness takes, for some people, forgiveness can take a lot of time, and that's okay. Whatever the amount of time it takes, it doesn't matter if you're actively just trying to seek it out, because it is life-changing on the other side. It is fucking life-changing on the other side. To forgive somebody and to truly feel like you can forgive them and let it go, your life will improve exponentially. You just don't know that it can because you're holding on to this and you want to hold on to it. And it also is part of the personality.
I think for that need, it's 100% part of personality. It's to hang on to the trauma, the resentment, the whatever. So they're going to say stuff like, no one understands what I went through. And the reality is there's a lot of people who have been through some stuff. And if you can let someone in to be able to relate, that's actually pretty powerful.
Yeah.
But if you want to believe that your trauma is so unique, not you, just anyone in general, it's like
of course.
Most of the listeners are probably not even have this need, but it's definitely that thing where it's a weird way to gain significance through something very negative.
Yes.
Like those people on social media, there was that woman in Australia who scammed all those people. She was pretending to have brain cancer and all this stuff, and
Oh my God.
she had a book come out, and she was on the Apple Watch, and I don't remember her name, but that was this.
I watched the documentary. I forgot.
It's a good
She had,
documentary.
it was very, there's two of them.
There's a documentary, and then there's like a docu-series, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
She had a cookbook.
That was huge, and she was literally telling cancer people, you don't need to take cancer meds. You just do this healthy lifestyle. Here's your shake. And people were looking for hope.
Of course.
She got so much significance from that, from a very messed up angle, bro.
Yeah, but she also had Munchausen.
She did?
Pretty sure. They showed the history of her life up to that point. She was always, there's always some sort of illness, I believe.
I thought they were all fake, though.
That's Munchausen.
Munchausen. Oh. I'm thinking Munchausen by proxy, where your parents make you think you're fake.
Yes.
So she just had the thing where she pretended to be sick or actually thought she was sick.
Pretended.
Yeah, she did that. They showed her on those skateboard forums talking about having like a heart transplant, and then was later on the forum
Right.
that's the extreme. Obviously, I think most people who have a desire for
that's a
pity
mental-
aren't going on the internet and gaining 2 million followers.
Yeah, this is a mental disability.
That's paired with a lot of stuff.
This one's for the DSM-5, not for Chase Hughes.
Yeah, they need to get the DSM-6 for that chick. All right, so how to win? You validate their pain, but gently steer towards resilience. So you're helping them feel empowered. I'm actually intrigued that it said that, because I think it can be such a negative return on those types of engagements that you can be like, dude, that's so terrible. I'm so happy you got through that. It's probably made you such a strong person. And then they're going, I'm validated, and oh my God, you're right. That's probably like the biggest like dopamine tap for those folks. And then you've really been through it and you're still standing. Good for you. Because still, though, I'm a survivor, but it's better than being a victim. I think being a survivor is a natural progression in moving out of that victim mindset.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. It's better. I do think being a survivor, while it comes from a victim place, is better than being a victim. However, I do think that's also something that needs to be superseded at some point, where you can release that identity, because it's probably more of a need for safety at that point. So you're like, I don't know.
And a level of importance to know that, like, I have gone through this. I am very strong.
Yeah, that definitely kind of has some interesting. We're kind of seeing some ways where these kind of intersect
For
with each
sure.
other. And so the last one is power. So they're going to dominate conversation. They're going to give unsolicited advice. They're framing interactions competitively. They love winning. They love controlling things. They like to rank things. And that's one's interesting because it's very effective with how capitalist, corporate America, et cetera. So it's tough because some of these are definitely more valuable, quote unquote, in modern society. So I'd assume that the power person is going to be more effective than the people pleaser person, just in terms of the way things work. So they're going to do things like interrupt, correct, assert opinion strongly. They're going to downplay other people's success. That's like the guy in the group who bullies everyone jovially, and so for some reason everyone likes that. But it's really more to prop themselves up by pushing others down.
Big time.
And so they want space to lead. And then you can use language like, you probably already know this, but just to validate that, even if you're going to tell them something they don't know, because someone like
Play
that
into
might
the
tell
ego.
you that they already knew that anyways, if they didn't.
They'll let you know.
What would you do if you were in charge here? So give them space to express their opinion of how they could do it better.
It's good. It's a good list.
Yeah. So essentially, being aware of these things is going to be a good way to kind of get into someone's lens and work with them to give them. So if you're just purely trying to influence them or manipulate someone, this is a really easy way to create that likability quickly. I think once you can also remove your ego, it makes it very easy to influence people. Because, so for example, like a perceived as powerful person, that would be an annoying person for me to deal with. But if I can remove my ego, I can easily manipulate them.
Well, I would encourage everyone to try and remove your ego.
It's helpful. Yeah.
Helpful.
Yeah, it's essentially if you're so comfortable with yourself. This is another thing this dude says, not related, but one of the best ways to get comfortable and be confident and remove this ego is to just start telling yourself it's okay to get a social injury. So it's okay to put your foot in your mouth. It's okay to say something stupid. It's okay. I told a story on Easter to my whole family and it was terrible. And I realized 15% into the story, it was going to suck. And I just wrapped it. I was like, I'm wrapping the story. It's terrible. And that was, and no one even paid attention. It was like,
Everyone forgot.
everyone forgot. We moved on immediately. And I didn't care. Normally I would have literally been up at night like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that.
Oh, really?
I literally was this, so that dude goes,
Oh.
get comfortable making a social injury. And I said to myself, oh yeah, okay, let's start working on that. It's kind of fun. It's kind of freeing because now I can say really ridiculous shit
Yeah.
that I would be thinking, and it normally goes totally fine.
That's so funny. My whole life, my mom wanted me to always be this perfect child because I am very known for speaking and then thinking. So I do the opposite. But I never overthink what I've done because it's already come out. And I've just accepted that's how I am.
Good for you.
But she was always trying to control that in me as a child. And so I do find myself holding back in certain arenas, probably from her.
Yeah, so all in all, these are just some great tactics that you can use to effectively understand where someone's coming from. And so I think if you put these into practice, and I recommend everyone look up Chase Hughes. He's been all over social media lately, and these are really effective ways to understand people's needs and even our own needs. So if you're coming from a place that you require certain things, there's probably a way for you to try to feel more validated internally. Or sometimes if you just know that you have these needs, then maybe you just got to figure out a way to fulfill them for yourself also.
Yeah. Self-work. It's always going to help you.
Oh, yeah. All right, guys. So make sure that you like, follow, subscribe, and leave us a comment. First comment we're going to shout out in our next episode. And so whatever you write, we will literally say it as long as it's not extremely vulgar.
Oh, maybe tell us where your ear's going to go. The third one.
Yeah, tell us where your third ear is going to go too. Thanks for watching, guys. Have an amazing day.
Bye.